Leo had never imagined a day like this. Standing at the heart of Orvane's trade hub, he looked around in awe. The air shimmered with soft lights that changed color as floating vehicles passed overhead. Alien merchants called out, offering goods that seemed impossible to describe. Metallic fruits, glowing crystals, and fabrics that flowed like liquid. Humans had been visiting Orvane for years, but for Leo, this was his first time on an alien world. He adjusted the collar of his uniform nervously. He had been trained for diplomacy, but nothing in the manuals had prepared him for the smell of exotic spices mixed with ozone, the strange shapes of alien faces, or the melodic language that hummed in the air. And then he saw her, Princess Mira of Orvane. She stood near a fountain that glimmered like liquid glass. Her eyes were large and deep, reflecting colors that Leo could not name. Her hair floated gently as if caught in a current of air, and her robes shimmered in shades of violet and silver. She was laughing at something one of her attendants had said, but when her gaze landed on Leo, the laughter paused. She tilted her head slightly, a playful smile touching her lips. "Ah, the human," she said in Orvane's language, her words flowing smoothly. Leo had studied the basics, but hearing them spoken by Mira herself made his tongue tangle. "I hear your accent is unique." Leo's ears warmed. He had anticipated some teasing. After all, humans rarely spoke Orvane perfectly. But hearing it directly from the princess was something else. I hope it is not too bad," he replied carefully, choosing each word. His accent was obvious, heavy in places, but he tried his best. Mira laughed lightly. "Bad?" she asked. "No, charming might be the word. Do you always speak this way, human?" Leo swallowed. He had expected a formal greeting, not playful banter. Still, he kept his composure. I speak as I have learned, princess. I hope it is understandable." "It is understandable," she said, her smile widening. "But amusing." Leo chuckled nervously. "Amusing can be good sometimes," she raised an eyebrow.
"For whom?"
"Yourself or others?" "Others," Leo admitted. "I hope." Her laughter rang out, musical and light, drawing the attention of nearby aliens. Some whispered, pointing at Leo. He felt himself flush under the scrutiny. He had imagined diplomats as serious, reserved, and almost untouchable in their grace. Mira was none of that. She was alive, bright, and fearless. A small droid rolled up beside him, whirring quietly. Its metal surface reflected the colors of the market. "This is Kivo," said one of the human delegation members, smiling. "He will help you understand and translate if needed." Leo knelt slightly, inspecting the small droid. "Hello, Kivo. I think we will need each other today." Kivo emitted a soft series of beeps and whirs. Leo took that as agreement. Mira watched the interaction with curiosity. "He speaks," she said almost to herself. Then she addressed Leo again, her tone teasing. "Do you know the proper greeting for a princess in Orvane?" Leo blinked. He had read about it, but his nerves made recalling the words difficult. I think so," he said slowly. "I must bow slightly, yes?" "Correct," Mira said, and her smile grew. "But the words, human." "The words," Leo took a deep breath. "I greet you. With respect and honor, Princess Mira," he said in the Orvane tongue, careful with each syllable. Mira's eyes widened. "Not bad," she said, tilting her head. "But you mispronounced the last syllable. You sound human." Leo nodded, trying not to look embarrassed. "I will try to do better." Her laughter rang again, a light melodic sound. "Try, yes. But I enjoy this version." Despite the teasing, Leo felt a small thrill of pride. He had managed the greeting without causing offense. Some of the nearby aliens nodded approvingly, while others whispered in amusement. He realized that Orvane's culture valued skill, effort, and also humor. And Mira seemed to enjoy seeing him try. The delegation moved toward the Grand Palace, a structure that seemed grown from crystal and light rather than built. Bridges arched over sparkling canals and gardens floated mid-air, held by strange energy fields. Leo's jaw almost dropped. Inside, the palace was even more astonishing. Walls reflected light in subtle rainbows, and hallways seemed to hum softly as if alive. Princess Mira led the group through the main hall, glancing at Leo occasionally with that playful look. "Human," she said suddenly. "You are studying my language, yes?" "Yes, Princess," he replied, bowing slightly. "I want to speak as you do." Her smile widened. "Ambitious. Perhaps too ambitious. But admirable," she paused. "Many humans try and fail. Will you succeed, I wonder?" Leo met her gaze, steady despite his nervousness. I will do my best, Princess. For a moment she studied him silently. Then she laughed again, a soft sound that seemed to make the hall brighter. Your accent will be remembered, she said. And perhaps your courage as well. The group was led into a ceremonial room filled with aliens of every shape and size. Crystal chandeliers floated above and a soft hum filled the air. Leo could see that this was a formal gathering, perhaps to honor the visiting humans. His heart pounded. Speaking incorrectly here could cause offense. Speaking well could earn respect. Mira leaned toward him slightly. Do you feel nervous, human? She asked softly. A little, Leo admitted. But I am more curious than afraid. Curiosity is good, she said. Bravery without curiosity is empty. Leo nodded, impressed by her wisdom. I will remember that. As the ceremony began, Leo struggled to follow all the words and gestures. He noted how Mira moved with effortless grace, guiding the proceedings with a quiet authority. And yet between the formal actions she kept glancing at him, sometimes teasingly, sometimes thoughtfully. When it was time for the human delegation to give a greeting, Leo stepped forward. His heart raced, but he focused on Mira's earlier advice. He spoke slowly, pronouncing each word carefully, trying to show respect while remaining understandable. The guests listened in silence. When he finished, there was a pause, then soft murmurs of approval. Mira's eyes were wide. You speak better than I expected, she said quietly, her usual teasing tone replaced with genuine surprise. Leo smiled, feeling relief wash over him. Thank you, Princess. She tilted her head, studying him as if seeing him in a new light. Perhaps humans are not as clumsy as we thought. The rest of the ceremony passed with elegance, though Leo felt a constant awareness of Mira's gaze. She seemed amused yet thoughtful. When the gathering ended, she offered her hand, lightly touching his arm as they walked toward the exit. Tomorrow, she said, I will test your skills further. Do not disappoint me. I will not, Leo replied, though he was not sure what she had in mind. Mira's laugh followed him as he left the palace, light and musical. Leo felt a strange mixture of nervousness and excitement. He had entered this alien world as a visitor, uncertain and awkward. Yet something about Mira and about Orvane made him feel that he had a chance to prove himself not just as a human, but as someone capable of understanding, learning, and respecting a world very different from his own. Outside, the floating gardens glimmered in the soft evening light. Leo took a deep breath of the alien air, filled with scents he could barely identify. He felt small, yes, but also capable. Tomorrow would bring challenges and perhaps more teasing, but he was ready. For the first time since he had arrived on Orvane, Leo felt that he was not just surviving. He might actually belong, and Princess Mira, playful, sharp, and unpredictable, would see exactly what humans could do. The next morning, Leo woke early in the delegation quarters. The soft light of Orvane's twin suns filtered through the crystal windows, casting patterns of gold and blue across the floor. He sat on the edge of his bed, thinking about Princess Mira and her playful teasing from yesterday. I have to do better today, he said quietly to himself. I can't let her or anyone think humans are clumsy or weak. Kivo, the small translator droid, rolled over to him, emitting a series of soft beeps. Affirmative, Leo, preparation is advised. The princess has challenges in store. Leo chuckled. I was hoping for just a friendly morning, Kivo. But if it's a challenge, I'm ready. He spent the next hour reviewing the Orvane language. Kivo projected holographic letters and sounds in front of him, and Leo repeated each phrase carefully. Some words twisted his tongue in strange ways, but he persisted. He repeated greetings, simple sentences, and polite expressions, determined to master every nuance. Finally, the delegation was summoned to the palace. The path to the ceremonial chamber was longer this time, winding through gardens that floated mid-air. Leo walked carefully, mindful of every step. Mira was already waiting at the entrance, standing tall and radiant. Human, she said, her voice teasing yet sharp. I hope you practiced overnight. Today we shall see if your tongue is as clever as your mind. I did my best, Princess, Leo replied, bowing slightly. I hope it is enough. Mira's eyes sparkled. Enough, she said. We shall find out. Inside the ceremonial chamber, the room was even more elaborate than yesterday. Crystals hung from the ceiling, catching the sunlight and scattering it in dazzling patterns. The Orvane nobles and scholars were gathered, observing the human delegation with curiosity. Mira led Leo to the center of the room. "Today," she announced to the assembly, "we test the human's understanding of Orvane culture and language. If he succeeds, it will be a great honor for his people." Leo swallowed. The audience was large and the weight of expectation pressed on him. But he took a deep breath and focused on Mira. Her eyes were not mocking this time. They were curious, challenging, waiting for him to show what he could do. Mira began the challenge with a simple question. "Recite the proper greeting for a visiting scholar in our tongue." Leo's heart pounded. He had practiced this endlessly, but the pressure made his hands sweat. He straightened, cleared his throat, and spoke carefully. "I greet you with respect and honor, esteemed scholar," he said in Orvane's language, each word deliberate. A hush fell over the room. Mira's eyes widened, clearly impressed. The nobles whispered among themselves. "Not bad," Mira said, tilting her head. "But emotion matters. Speak as if you feel the words, human." "Can you do that?" Leo nodded and took another breath. He closed his eyes for a moment, imagining the warmth and respect he genuinely felt for the traditions of Orvane. When he spoke again, his voice carried feeling, not just words. The assembly remained silent. Mira's expression shifted from teasing to something closer to awe. She leaned slightly forward, listening intently. When he finished, she clapped lightly, a sound that echoed like delicate bells. "Interesting," she said. "You speak our language not only correctly, but with understanding. That is rare." Leo bowed, feeling a surge of pride. "Thank you, Princess. I am honored to learn from your people." Mira studied him carefully. "Learning is not enough, human. You must also act wisely." She gestured toward a series of tables arranged with intricate puzzles, strange mechanical devices, and symbols he did not recognize. "These represent Orvane logic, culture, and diplomacy. Solve them correctly and you may earn our respect. Fail and you will only amuse us further." Leo stepped forward, heart racing. He studied the first puzzle, a geometric pattern that required precise alignment of light-reflecting crystals. He had no prior experience with this, but he noticed how the crystals refracted sunlight and shifted color. Using logic and careful observation, he adjusted them one by one until the pattern matched the design displayed in Kivo's hologram. Mira raised an eyebrow. "Impressive. You adapt quickly, human." The next challenge involved a cultural riddle, a story told in Orvane's language. Leo listened attentively, using Kivo's subtle translations as a guide. He discerned the meaning. It was a lesson about fairness and respect. He responded thoughtfully, choosing words that reflected both intelligence and empathy. Mira's eyes narrowed, and for the first time she nodded approvingly. "You understand more than I expected," she said softly. "Humans are not always so perceptive," Leo smiled. "We learn quickly when we care to understand." The final challenge was the most daunting. A group of Orvane scholars presented a scenario involving an interstellar dispute. Leo had to negotiate a solution, balancing the needs of multiple parties while respecting local customs. He took a deep breath, recalling everything he had learned about Orvane values: fairness, cooperation, respect for life, and clever problem-solving. He proposed a solution that honored the traditions of Orvane while ensuring that all parties benefited. There was a tense silence, then murmurs of approval spread across the chamber. Mira's face was unreadable for a moment, then she clapped once sharply, commanding attention. "You have succeeded, human," she announced. "Not many could accomplish what you have done today. You demonstrate not only intelligence but respect for our ways. That is commendable." Leo felt a mix of relief and exhilaration. He had entered this challenge expecting ridicule and ended it earning admiration. Mira's teasing smile returned, softer now, almost warm. "Do you feel proud of yourself, human?" she asked. "I do," Leo admitted. "But more than pride, I feel grateful for your guidance." Her expression softened. "Gratitude is wise. But remember, human, learning never ends. Tomorrow you will face new challenges. Some may be physical, some intellectual. Are you ready?" "I am," Leo said confidently. Mira studied him a moment longer, then turned to the assembly. "Observe closely, everyone. This human does not merely survive in our world. He learns, he adapts, and he respects our ways. That is what we honor in Orvane." The assembly erupted in polite applause. Leo felt a mixture of pride and humility. He realized that earning respect in this alien world was more valuable than any personal achievement back on Earth. After the ceremony, Mira led Leo to a quieter part of the palace garden. Floating flowers glimmered around them, and the air smelled faintly of spices and water. She sat on a crystal bench, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "You have done well today, human," she said, her tone softer now. "But tell me, why do you care so much about our language, our culture?" Leo paused. "Because understanding shows respect. Because humans are capable of learning. Because I want to prove that we can be more than visitors or strangers. We can be allies, friends, even partners in this universe." Mira's eyes widened slightly. "Interesting. Few humans speak with such thoughtfulness. Most focus on themselves or their own needs. I want to be different," Leo said simply. "Not just for me, but for everyone here." "For you, Princess," she blinked, caught off guard. The playful teasing in her eyes softened, replaced by a hint of admiration. For a moment she said nothing, as if weighing his words carefully. Finally she stood and extended her hand. "Tomorrow we begin another test. But today, you have earned a place in my consideration. Few humans can claim that." Leo took her hand, feeling a mixture of excitement and respect. "Thank you, Princess." "I will not disappoint you." She smiled, her usual teasing glint returning. "Do not disappoint me, humorous, but I hope you succeed anyway, human." As he left the garden, Leo felt a renewed sense of purpose. Orvane was no longer just an alien world full of strange sights and sounds. It was a place where he could prove himself, where humans could show that their intelligence, empathy, and determination were forces to be respected across the stars. And Princess Mira, well, she was not merely a challenge or a critic. She was someone whose opinion mattered, someone whose respect he wanted to earn not just for duty, but for the honor of learning and growing in this new world. The day had been long, exhausting, and challenging, yet Leo felt invigorated. He had survived the first true test of his skills and had come out not just unscathed but stronger. He knew tomorrow would bring new trials, new challenges, and perhaps more teasing from Mira, but he also knew he was ready. For the first time, Leo felt that humans were not just visitors in this galaxy. They were capable, resilient, and adaptable, and perhaps, just perhaps, they could leave a mark that even alien worlds would respect. The next morning, Leo woke to the soft hum of Orvane's twin suns rising over the floating gardens outside his window. Today would be different. He could feel it in the air, a quiet tension mixed with anticipation. Mira had promised another test, and although he had proven himself yesterday, he sensed that this trial would push him further. He stood in the delegation hall, Kivo hovering beside him. The small droid whirred softly, projecting holographic maps and symbols as Leo reviewed yesterday's lessons one last time. "Leo," Kivo said, "today's test may involve public speaking. Your previous performance was successful. Retain confidence, I know, Kivo," Leo replied. "But I have a feeling this will not be just about speaking." When they entered the palace, the main hall had been transformed. Floating platforms of crystal hovered above the floor, each supporting a group of Orvane scholars, dignitaries, and guests from other planets. The hall was vast, its ceilings glittering like the night sky, though it was still morning. At the center of the hall, Princess Mira awaited, standing with her usual elegance. She wore a gown that shimmered like liquid light, and her eyes, sharp and curious, were fixed on Leo. "Human," she said, her voice carrying clearly across the hall. "Today you will address the assembly. Speak as you have practiced, yes, but do so with confidence and understanding. They will judge not just your words, but your character." Leo nodded. His stomach tightened, but he drew a deep breath. He had prepared, he had studied, and he had practiced. Now it was time. He stepped onto the central platform. A hush fell over the hall. Thousands of eyes from Orvane and other worlds followed his every move. The pressure was immense, yet Leo felt a strange calm. He began in Orvane's language, carefully pronouncing each word. His tone was measured, respectful, and clear. He greeted the assembly, spoke of human curiosity, and expressed his admiration for Orvane's culture and knowledge. He included subtle references to the lessons Mira had emphasized: respect, empathy, and understanding. The audience listened intently, some nodding, others whispering softly. Leo's voice grew stronger as he continued, the nervousness fading into determination. Then came the critical moment. Mira had prepared a passage in her native language. a series of ancient phrases that no visitor had spoken correctly in decades. It was meant to test true understanding. Leo's heart raced. He had never practiced this exact passage. He paused, closed his eyes briefly, and remembered the patterns of sounds, the tone, and the rhythm. Slowly, carefully, he began to speak. At first, the assembly gasped. Humans were not expected to speak Orvane fluently. Mira's eyes widened, her usual playful smile frozen on her lips. She leaned forward slightly, her attention riveted. Leo continued, his voice steady, conveying not just the words but the meaning behind them. He spoke with respect, understanding, and even a hint of emotion. The ancient phrases, once foreign and complex, now flowed from his lips as if he had been raised on Orvane itself. When he finished, silence filled the hall. The audience stared at him, astonished. Mira's hand hovered over her mouth, her eyes wide with disbelief. She did not laugh. She did not tease. She simply stared. Then slowly she clapped once. The sound echoed through the hall, sharp and commanding attention. "Remarkable," she said softly, almost to herself. "Truly remarkable." Leo exhaled, feeling relief and pride. He had passed the ultimate test, not just by speaking correctly, but by showing that humans could understand, respect, and honor alien culture. The audience erupted in applause. Orvane nobles nodded in approval. Scholars whispered among themselves, impressed by the human who had spoken their ancient words flawlessly. Leo stepped down from the platform, feeling a mixture of exhilaration and humility. Mira approached him, her expression unreadable for a moment. Then she smiled. This time it was different. The playful teasing had vanished, replaced by genuine admiration. "You have done what no other human has done," she said, her voice steady. "You did not just mimic our words. You understood them. You made them your own while honoring their meaning." Leo bowed deeply. "Thank you, Princess. I could not have done it without your guidance and patience." Mira studied him carefully. "Patience, perhaps, but it was your own determination that carried you. Most humans would give up or stumble under such pressure. I wanted to succeed," Leo said simply, "because I respect your people. Because I want to show that humans can be more than strangers in your world." Her eyes softened. "And you have proven that. Today you are no longer merely a visitor. You are someone we can trust, someone we can rely on. That is rare, human." For the first time, Leo felt truly seen by Mira, not as a curiosity, not as a visitor. Not as someone to tease, but as an equal in intelligence, respect, and skill. She gestured toward the floating gardens visible through the crystal walls. "Walk with me," she said. "We have much to discuss." Leo followed her through the palace corridors, his steps careful yet confident. Mira walked beside him, her presence both intimidating and inspiring. They entered a quieter section of the palace where the gardens floated around them, casting soft glows of violet and gold. "You surprised me, human," Mira said, breaking the silence. "I did not expect you to speak so fluently. I did not expect you to understand so deeply. You exceeded my expectations," Leo smiled. "Thank you, Princess. I worked hard. I wanted to show that humans can rise to challenges even in worlds far from home." She nodded slowly, her gaze thoughtful. "Many humans think only of survival. Few think of understanding. Few value the meaning behind words and customs. You are different. I have learned that respect matters more than skill," Leo said, "and understanding is more powerful than imitation." Mira stopped walking and turned to face him fully. "Do you know why I teased you at first?" she asked. Leo paused. "Because you wanted to see my reaction? To see if I would give up or respond with humility?" She smiled faintly. "Partly. And partly because it amused me. Most humans stumble and sound foolish. You were amusing in your own way." Leo chuckled softly. "Amusing, yes. But I hope today I was more than that." "You were," Mira said, her tone firm and certain. "Today you proved that humans can achieve greatness when they combine intellect, empathy, and courage. That is something we respect." For a moment they stood quietly, the floating gardens casting their soft glow around them. Leo felt a sense of accomplishment he had never known. He had not only faced Mira's challenge, he had exceeded it. He had earned her respect. "And yet," Mira said suddenly, her playful glint returning, "do not think this means you are safe from future teasing, human." Leo laughed. "I would not expect that, Princess. I have learned that challenges are a part of growth." "Wise," she said, "and your growth has only just begun." They walked in silence for a while, the soft sounds of floating water and humming energy filling the space. Mira shared stories of her world, tales of history, culture, and diplomacy. Leo listened intently, asking questions and absorbing every detail. He realized that learning was not just about language or puzzles, it was about understanding the heart of a people. By the time the sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows across the palace gardens, Leo felt a deep sense of connection to Orvane. He had entered this world as an uncertain visitor, teased and underestimated. He had faced challenges, spoken words thought impossible for a human, and earned the admiration of one of Orvane's most brilliant minds. And Princess Mira, teasing, sharp, and exacting, now looked at him with something different. Respect. A recognition that humans, when willing to learn and persevere, could stand as equals in a universe filled with wonders and dangers alike. Leo realized that this was only the beginning. Tomorrow would bring new tests, new challenges, and perhaps new opportunities to prove himself. But for now, he allowed himself a quiet moment of satisfaction. He had faced the moment of truth and he had succeeded. Mira's final words of the evening lingered in his mind as he prepared to rest. Never forget, human. Language is not merely sound. It is thought, feeling, and understanding. Speak with care and you honor more than words. Speak with wisdom and you honor a world. Leo lay down that night staring at the ceiling of the delegation quarters, reflecting on the day's lessons. He thought of Mira, her teasing, her sharp eyes, and the genuine respect she had shown him. And he realized something important. The path to respect was not through imitation or humor alone, but through courage, understanding, and the willingness to rise to every challenge, no matter how daunting, and Leo was ready. The morning light filtered through the floating gardens of Orvane's palace as Leo stepped onto the balcony, taking in the soft hues of violet and gold. The air was filled with the hum of energy fields that kept the gardens suspended, and the scent of alien flowers drifted gently around him. Today was another day of tests, but it felt different. Yesterday had been about proving himself. Today it felt like a step toward something more, understanding, friendship, and perhaps trust. Kivo hovered beside him, projecting a small hologram of the day's schedule. Leo, the droid said, today's activities will focus on cultural intelligence, diplomacy, and problem-solving. The princess will observe your adaptability and reasoning. Leo nodded. I understand, Kivo. Let's begin. When they entered the palace, Mira was already waiting in the central chamber. Her robes shimmered with soft silver and blue, catching the morning light. She smiled at Leo, but this time the playful teasing had softened into a warmer expression. Human, she said. Yesterday you impressed me with words. Today, we will see how you think, act, and understand beyond language. Leo straightened his posture, ready for whatever she would present. The first challenge was a cultural puzzle. A table was laid with intricate symbols, strange devices, and holographic patterns. Mira explained that these represented Orvane history, laws, and traditions. Leo had to arrange them in a sequence that reflected correct cultural order. He studied the symbols carefully, noticing patterns that mirrored stories Mira had shared yesterday. Using logic and careful observation, he aligned each piece, connecting past lessons to present action. Mira observed silently, her eyes keen and calculating. When Leo completed the puzzle, she raised an eyebrow in approval. You think not just with your mind, human, but with understanding. That is rare, Leo smiled. I study because I respect your world. I want to learn fully, not just succeed. Wise words, Mira said. Many visitors fail because they do not respect. They only seek to impress. You are different. The next test was more physical. Mira led Leo to a training arena, where floating platforms hovered over a deep pool of shimmering water. These platforms require balance, timing, and focus, she explained. They represent challenges in life and diplomacy. One misstep and consequences follow. Leo stepped carefully onto the first platform. It shifted slightly under his weight, testing his balance. He moved with caution but confidence, observing the platform's patterns and rhythms. With patience, he crossed the arena, reaching the final platform without falling. Mira clapped lightly. You are steady, human. Not just physically, but mentally as well. You adapt quickly, learn from mistakes, and maintain focus. These qualities make a good ally. Leo bowed slightly. Thank you, Princess. I try to remain aware of my surroundings and actions. It helps me understand and respect your world. Mira's eyes softened for a moment. You are learning faster than many of our own scholars. That is unusual. After the arena, Mira presented a diplomatic exercise. Two holographic leaders from different worlds were in dispute over trade routes and resources. Leo had to negotiate a solution that satisfied both parties while respecting their customs. He studied the situation carefully, recalling the principles Mira had emphasized: fairness, empathy, and creative problem-solving. He proposed compromises that balanced the needs of both sides, suggesting alternatives that minimized conflict and maximized mutual benefit. Mira observed silently, then nodded. Excellent. You understand that diplomacy is more than words. It is thought, foresight, and empathy. Humans are not always so wise, yet you demonstrate this naturally. Leo felt a surge of pride. I learned from the best, Princess. Your guidance makes it possible. Mira smiled faintly, a mixture of amusement and approval. Flattery does not impress me, human. Actions do, and your actions speak louder than words. The final exercise of the day involved a complex social scenario. Leo had to interact with a group of young Orvane scholars, teaching them a concept from human science while making it understandable in their terms. It required clarity, patience, and creativity. Leo began carefully explaining basic human principles in simple, clear words, then using metaphors and examples that the Orvane children could relate to. He watched their eyes light up with understanding, answering their questions patiently and thoughtfully. Mira observed from a distance, smiling faintly. You are patient, intelligent, and adaptable. You earn respect not only through skill but through empathy. That is a true sign of value. As the exercises concluded, Mira led Leo to the palace gardens again, where soft sunlight glimmered through the floating plants. The air was calm, the hum of energy fields soothing. You have done well today, Mira said. Not because you completed tasks, but because you learned. You understand our culture, our ways, and our people. That is far more important than mere success. Leo nodded. I understand, Princess. I want to be someone worthy of trust and respect. Not just for me, but for humans as a whole. Mira studied him quietly, then spoke softly. Few humans think this way. Many seek only to succeed or dominate. You think differently. That is admirable. I believe humans can do more than survive in the universe, Leo said. We can learn, adapt, and contribute. And we can earn respect by showing understanding and courage. Mira's eyes glimmered with approval. You are beginning to understand, human. Respect is not demanded. It is earned through thought, action, and integrity. You have taken the first steps. They walked through the floating gardens in silence for a while, the soft glow of alien plants surrounding them. Leo felt a sense of peace and purpose. He had proven himself not just with words or clever solutions, but with thoughtfulness, patience, and respect. Mira, once a teasing observer, now looked at him with admiration and genuine interest. You are growing, human, Mira said at last. And with growth comes responsibility. You must continue to learn, adapt, and show courage. These are the qualities that define those worthy of trust. Leo nodded. I understand. And I will continue to grow, Princess. Not for amusement, not for praise, but because it is the right way to live and learn. Mira smiled faintly. Good. I look forward to seeing what you will accomplish next. You may have more challenges ahead, but remember this. Intelligence, empathy, and determination are the greatest tools a being can have. Use them wisely. As the day ended, Leo returned to his quarters, exhausted but exhilarated. Each challenge had tested him in different ways, intellectually, physically, socially, and each time he had risen to meet it. But beyond success, he had gained something more. The growing respect and trust of Mira, and a deeper understanding of the Orvane people and their world. Kivo hovered beside him, projecting a small map of the palace. Leo, your performance today was exemplary. Princess Mira's approval is significant. Continued success is likely with further effort. I know, Kivo, Leo said, stretching. But it is not just about approval. It is about understanding, growth, and respect. That is what matters most, Kivo whirred softly. Affirmative. That is a wise perspective. Leo looked out the window, watching the floating garden sway gently in the wind. He thought of the lessons he had learned. The value of patience, empathy, thoughtfulness, and courage. He realized that these qualities, often underestimated on Earth, were universally respected, even among alien civilizations. And Mira, well, she was no longer just a teasing princess. She was a guide, a mentor, and someone whose respect he valued deeply. For the first time since arriving on Orvane, Leo felt a strong sense of belonging. He had entered this world as a visitor, uncertain and awkward. He had faced challenges that tested his mind, body, and spirit, and he had proven that humans, with their intelligence, empathy, and determination, could earn respect and trust even in the most alien of worlds. As the twin suns set, casting long shadows across the palace gardens, Leo reflected on the day's lessons. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, perhaps more difficult, perhaps more unpredictable. But he felt ready. With each challenge, he was not only learning about Orvane, but also about himself and the potential of humanity in the stars. He understood now that respect could not be demanded. It could only be earned through thought, action, and integrity. And by that measure, Leo was beginning to carve a place for himself, not just in Mira's eyes, but in the heart of Orvane itself. And somewhere in the palace, Mira watched quietly, a faint smile on her lips, knowing that this human, this visitor from a distant world, was someone special, someone who could rise to challenges, learn from mistakes, and grow stronger with each trial. Leo, unaware of her gaze, settled into rest, his mind alive with plans, thoughts, and lessons for tomorrow. He knew the path ahead would be difficult, but he also knew that with intelligence, courage, and empathy, humans could shine even in the most extraordinary worlds. The morning light of Orvane's twin suns painted the palace in soft gold and violet. Today was a special day. Word had spread throughout the floating city that Leo, the human visitor, had impressed Princess Mira with his intelligence, understanding, and courage. The palace was alive with anticipation. Diplomats, scholars, and citizens gathered to witness an event that would mark a turning point in human-Orvane relations. Leo stood in the delegation hall, straightening his uniform. He felt a mixture of pride, nervousness, and excitement. This was not just a test or challenge. This was recognition, formal acknowledgement of everything he had accomplished since arriving on Orvane. Kivo hovered beside him, projecting a soft holographic glow. Leo, this event will solidify your standing. Princess Mira's approval will be formal and public. Remain composed and confident, Leo nodded. I understand, Kivo. I will do my best. As they entered the main hall, the sight took Leo's breath away. The chamber was enormous, filled with representatives from Orvane and neighboring worlds. Floating platforms carried dignitaries who gazed down at the human visitor. The light from the crystal ceilings refracted through the hall, creating a mesmerizing display. At the center of the hall stood Princess Mira, radiant as ever. She had chosen her ceremonial attire carefully, flowing robes of silver and blue, delicate patterns of light tracing intricate designs across the fabric. Her eyes, sharp and observant, fell on Leo as he approached. Human, she said, her voice carrying across the hall. You have been observed, tested, and challenged. You have spoken our language, understood our culture, solved our puzzles, and navigated our diplomacy. Today, we recognize your accomplishments. Leo bowed respectfully. Thank you, Princess. I am honored. Mira gestured, and the assembly hushed. Your actions demonstrate the values we hold dear: intelligence, empathy, courage, and perseverance. You have proven that humans can rise to challenges in ways few expect. It is with respect and admiration that we formally acknowledge your contribution to Orvane. A panel of Orvane elders approached, presenting a ceremonial sash embedded with luminescent symbols. This was a symbol of trust, honor, and recognition, traditionally awarded to those who had shown exceptional understanding of Orvane society. Leo accepted the sash with care, feeling its weight not just physically but symbolically. It was more than decoration. It was proof that his determination, respect, and effort had been recognized by one of the most advanced civilizations he had ever encountered. Humans are often underestimated, Mira said softly, turning to him. They are seen as simple, curious, or sometimes reckless. But you, Leo, have shown that humanity is capable of more than survival. You are capable of understanding, adapting, and contributing meaningfully to worlds beyond your own. Leo met her gaze, a smile forming despite the solemnity of the ceremony. I have learned that respect and understanding matter more than power. And I have learned that humans, when willing to learn, can earn trust anywhere in the universe. Mira's smile softened, a rare warmth in her expression. You are wise beyond your species, human. That is why we honor you today. The assembly erupted in applause. Some aliens bowed, others nodded respectfully, and the hum of admiration filled the hall. Leo felt both pride and humility. This recognition was not just for him, it was for humanity. It was proof that humans, when acting with intelligence, empathy, and courage, could stand as equals among alien civilizations. After the formal ceremony, Mira led Leo through the palace gardens. Floating plants glimmered in the soft light, and the hum of the energy fields filled the space with a gentle rhythm. You have achieved much, Mira said, her tone reflective. But recognition is not the end, human. It is the beginning of new responsibilities. I understand, Princess, Leo replied. I will continue to learn and act with respect. I will strive to represent humanity well. Mira tilted her head, her eyes studying him closely. Many would claim recognition and rest, satisfied with what they have achieved. You, however, seek to grow further. That is rare and admirable, Leo nodded. I believe that learning never ends. Every world, every culture, every person has something to teach us. And I want to continue learning, not just for myself, but for all humans visiting Orvane and other worlds. Mira smiled faintly. Then you are ready for what comes next. Respect and recognition bring opportunity. You may choose to stay as an observer, a scholar, or even a partner in diplomatic missions. The choice is yours. Leo considered her words carefully. I wish to help. To build understanding between humans and Orvane. To show that trust and friendship can exist between our worlds. Her eyes sparkled with approval. Then we shall begin immediately. Opportunities await, and with your abilities we can accomplish much together. Over the next few hours, Mira introduced Leo to leaders, scholars, and ambassadors from neighboring worlds. He engaged in discussions, shared ideas, and offered solutions to minor disputes. His insights, grounded in human logic and tempered with the lessons he had learned from Orvane, impressed everyone. Mira observed him closely, occasionally nodding or smiling, clearly proud of his adaptability and intellect. At one point, a young Orvane scholar approached him, curious and eager. How do humans learn so quickly? She asked. Leo smiled. We observe, listen, and try to understand. We ask questions and think about the answers. And we practice until we succeed. It is not magic, just patience and determination. The young scholar nodded thoughtfully. I see. That is impressive. Mira watched this interaction from a distance. You teach as you act, she said softly to herself. Not just with words, but through example. That is why humans can be trusted. By the evening, the formal events concluded and the palace quieted. Leo and Mira walked through the gardens, their steps slow and thoughtful. The soft glow of floating plants and the hum of energy fields created an atmosphere of calm reflection. You have changed the way I see humans, Leo, Mira said. I expected curiosity, perhaps clumsiness, maybe even foolishness. But you have shown intelligence, empathy, and courage. That is rare, Leo smiled. Thank you, Princess. I have learned much from you and from your people, and I hope I can continue to prove that humans are capable of more than expected. Mira tilted her head, her gaze softening. You have already proven much, but remember, true respect is earned continuously. Do not grow complacent. I understand, Leo said. I will continue to learn, act wisely, and represent humanity with honor. For a moment they walked in silence, sharing the quiet beauty of the palace gardens. Leo realized that this connection, built on respect, trust, and shared understanding, was something far more valuable than any formal recognition. Mira spoke again, her voice lighter, almost teasing. You know, human, for someone I once found amusing, you have become quite impressive. Leo chuckled softly. Amusing, yes, but I hope now I'm also capable. You are, Mira said, her eyes glimmering, and that is what matters most. Competence, understanding, and integrity. You have earned my trust and the respect of Orvane.
That is a rare accomplishment. As the twin suns set, casting long, shimmering shadows across the palace, Leo felt a deep sense of fulfillment.
He had entered Orvane as a visitor, uncertain and hesitant. He had faced challenges that tested his mind, body, and spirit, and he had emerged not only successful but respected, trusted, and admired. Mira turned to him one last time before the evening ended. Human, the universe is vast, filled with wonders and dangers. but I see potential in you and your kind. With intelligence, courage, and empathy, humans can shine even among the stars." Leo bowed. "I will not forget, Princess, and I will continue to honor the trust and respect you and your people have shown me." She smiled faintly, her usual teasing glint returning. "Do not disappoint me, human, but I have faith that you will rise to any challenge. Humans are clever, after all." Leo laughed softly. "I will do my best, Princess." And as the palace lights dimmed and the soft hum of Orvane's energy fields filled the air, Leo realized something important. Humans were capable of more than survival, more than exploration. They could earn trust, respect, and friendship across the galaxy. And with determination, intelligence, and empathy, they could leave a mark that even alien civilizations would honor. Princess Mira walked beside him, not as a critic or teasing observer, but as a partner, mentor, and ally. Together they had begun a journey of trust, understanding, and shared purpose. And Leo knew without doubt that this was only the beginning. The universe awaited, and humanity was ready.